so many people coming in and sort of just heard that there was, if you were a musician, you could drink for free. We ended up giving away so much, but we had, I mean, it created a weird vibe because you had these Irish bands that were just starting out playing at the bar. Then you had all these hair metal bands coming down from Hollywood and stuff to hang out. So we had guys from Poison and Motley Crue, and all these different guys would show up. And I was totally ignorant to the scene. So I'd be chatting away to somebody and then they go, oh, you know, this is Ricky Rocket or something from Poison. I'd be like, oh, really? And then I'd be thinking in the back of my mind, you didn't just fucking play here. Why are you drinking my booze? But then I thought, well, you know, he's obviously got a vibe going and everybody's hanging out to see him. So maybe this is a good way to draw more people in. And then we used to joke about how, because it was such a sort of a cool hang at the weekends, we started getting lots of Irish celebrities coming down. So we'd have Rosie O'Donnell was in the place. We had George Clooney coming in. We had, even like just famous directors and stuff would come in. But we used to say, somebody made a joke once about the bar. It's like, every celebrity's here, you know, Rosie O'Donnell, Conan O'Brien, 5 o'clock news. It's like, they're all, if there's an O in your name, you're at Fair City. But it meant that it really got a good sort of a reputation for being a place you could bump into all sorts of people. So, you know,
it was the heyday of the LA music scene. That late
exactly. 80s. Yeah, it was a good time. And this was actually late 90s. So even more strange is, why did I have, you know, the hair metal bands in there?
I mean, Ricky Rocket, I'm a hair band nerd, and I know that Ricky Rocket plays drums standing up. Right. He doesn't sit down.
That's right. Yeah. Which is also, while we're
that gets me laid, that little factoid. You know,
yeah, the little while we're on that little bit of trivia, the original Flogging Molly was originally when we were all playing together, was the Dave King band, and their drummer Paulie from England, unbelievable drummer, same thing, used to play standing up. It was such a great band. The Dave King band was just a really good. It's actually where we got Chaz, who's our fiddle player currently. He had originally played with the Dave King band, and that's where we sort of all met each other. So little Celtic rock trivia.
I love it. I'll definitely try to get laid with that one too. It probably works just as well as the Poison one.
That's right.
So then the Young Dubs are formed. You guys have your own, venue to play in. Then you go out. You guys crushed the House of Blues. I read in LA. You guys set some kind of record there.
Yeah, we were, when the bands first started, when Fair City started, the House of Blues hadn't quite opened yet. So luckily we got to sort of build up a following. And then once the House of Blues opened, we got asked to play. And, this was big time for us, having played, My Little Pub and Club Lingerie and stuff like that, but never a major venue. So we had no idea if it would work. And we did it, and our fans they were so unbelievably supportive of us in those days. I mean, you think about it, we would play the House of Blues, 1,000-seater, sell it out on say, a Friday night, and then still play my bar on Saturday night, which was just down the road, Santa Monica. Now, most bands, you couldn't do that. You had to sign a no-play 90 days either side, and there would be a geographical restriction as well. But we were given a pass on that just because we were selling it out, and it didn't seem to be affecting it. So we ended up doing the record. I think a lot of people say we have a record for the most sellouts there. I think we had over 40 sellouts, but really the record we always were told was that the most booze sold, because they would just, our crowd would just go fucking ballistic, and they'd get there early, and the drinking was just, plus we had a bar on stage with a bartender, and I would lean down and pull people out of the audience and put them up on stage, which incidentally, a little side note, it's not advisable when you're looking down from the stage. When you're looking up at a stage, the musicians look huge. They look larger than life with the lights and the stage and all. Well, when you're looking down off the stage, people look smaller. And as you lean down to pull them on stage, you don't necessarily know what kind of poundage is below that neck. And I pulled my back out so many times by grabbing the wrong hand and tried to pull them up. And you see the whole crowd just gather to start helping. That's when you knew you were in trouble. Be like, what do they know that I don't know?
That's funny, man. Similar thing happens at the bar. You could be chatting up this really beautiful girl, and everything's great, but you can't see. You only see the torso. And sometimes when they get up and go to the bathroom, okay. God damn it.
Yeah, listen, you know, everybody to their own, and
Absolutely.
but it's just when you're a sort of skinny Irish person, there are some weight restrictions to your lift capabilities, and it should really be posted somewhere. But yeah, so we would grab them up. So the stage became just, and I did, you know, we didn't originate that idea, but we sort of stole the idea from Sublime, who were blown up at the time. They had just released that brilliant album, and they were, you know,
whatever.
Yeah, and this is where Brandon was still alive and all, and they would bring dogs on stage and have all their mates up there, and it was just a huge party. And I always heard it was a nightmare to clean up after their gigs because there'd be just booze spilt everywhere. So we ended up trying to do the same thing, and where it culminated was the House of Blues. So we sort of fell out. The House of Blues went very corporate at one point, and we sort of started playing different venues and moving around a bit. It got a little bit, you know, sort of not as much fun as it had been. Because you've got to remember, when we started playing it was owned by Dan Aykroyd and a whole bunch of just
anything goes kind of people.
It was just brilliant. I mean, I sat upstairs chatting with Billy Connolly one night. I just met, you know, some of the most amazing people we met doing those gigs. You know, we had famous stories where Anna Nicole Smith would always come and see us, and she'd introduce us. I mean, there was one time she was out there. She would come dressed as Marilyn Monroe, and I mean, beautiful woman. She looked like her in so many ways, and she'd be gorgeous. She'd be backstage, and she'd go, "Keith, what do you want me to say?" I'd say, "I want you to say, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Young Dubliners." And so she'd go, "Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Governors," and I'd be like, "No, the Young Dubliners." So I remember the curtain was closed, and she's standing there. The music's playing, the curtain's about to open, and I said to her one last time, you know, "So Anna, you got it, ladies and gentlemen, the Young Dubliners." She goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Dublin here." I go, and I see the curtain start open. I go, "Just say the Dubs," and I ran out of shot, and the curtain opens, and she stands there, and the crowd goes fucking mad. She goes, "The Dubs!" And it was brilliant. It just
like you the two words for her.
But it was just that classic moment where, you know, it seemed like such a great idea we'd come up with, but it was literally a last second thing to make sure she fucking remembered what I was telling her.
She's going by 3 names. She's got a lot of stuff on her mind.
Exactly. But she, you know, that was hilarious times too. I mean, just we had a lot of fun with her too. But it was so anyway, as I like to say, make a long story even longer. We ended up, we were away from there for a while, and then eventually we heard the House of Blues LA was shutting down. And it was like, oh my God, this is fucking legacy for us. You know, how can we have to be a part of this. But at that point, we sort of hadn't played it in so long, I didn't think we'd be asked. And then out of the blue, I got an email saying they were running a Facebook contest with all the past employees of the House of Blues and asking them to pick their favorite band to play, you know, the last night. And, you know, somebody said you're in the top 200. And I thought, that's nice that they were. But you got to remember that the House of Blues had superstars who had come in. Maybe they were working on some new material, or they wanted to do an intimate show. They do like 7 nights in a row. So they'd had Duran Duran play the place. They'd had, you know, huge artists, Ryan Adams. Just, to me, it was just to be in the list was good. And then it started going on. And next thing you know, I was told you're in the top 50. You're in the top 20. And then I made a little video that they posted where you just sort of gave yourself a shout out, like, "Hey, everybody, you remember the fun you had when we played," you know. But again, I thought it was just such a long shot, and all of a sudden we got the word that we'd won and that we were going to be asked to play this big night. So we gave away 500 tickets to the ex-employees for free, and then 500 tickets were sold, and it was just phenomenal. And then, so I put the bar on stage, and my agent, Rich, was given the job of controlling who got up there. And I said, "Look, we have a few friends in the house. We have a lot of, you know, close mates who've shown up for this big gig. I want to make sure they get on. So I'll pull a few out of the audience, but just have about 5 or 6 at a time, and then we'll empty it again, and then we'll bring another 5 or 6 up." And he was like, "Okay, got it. So the bar set up, it's beautiful. We've got the bartender there stocked with pints, and we go on. And halfway through the first song, about 50 people stormed the stage. I don't know where the fuck they came from. I don't know whether the agent fucked up or whether they came from the other side of the stage. But I just remember peripheral vision, seeing movement. and I turn around and the stage is packed, and it stayed like that for the entire 2-hour show. Nobody could get off. They couldn't get anybody off. Security just gave up, and we just had this hilarious show with fucking people going bananas, dancing, and, you know, the usual posers trying to steal the show for there. All the women were trying to do all their dances. It was just fucking hilarious, but a brilliant night. And
sounds like absolute chaos.
A great way to say goodbye. I think your friend of mine, Book, I think he came in for that gig, actually.
Oh, I'm going to have to ask him about it. Here's what I want to know. Like, your agent, did he take, since you guys had the bar on the stage, did your agent take 10% of the bartender's tip?
Absolutely. And he drank 10% of the fucking booze.
That's a good agent.
He bagged 10% of the women. It was like, they're just, you know. That's what they get. That's what they get.
You get 10 thrusts, sir. That's it.
The going rate.
And I saw that you had a little surgery. You had the nodes on the vocal cords. You had like the Steven Tyler thing.
I did. I wish I'd had that sort of end result, but it is a weird thing. It started to hit me. You know, I'd always never vocal training. I was, I'd be out every night. In fact, Denver, where you're based, I have to give a shout out to my favorite Irish pub in the world, Nallon's.
Oh yeah,
this
is amazing.
Yeah, our first ever gig in Denver was at the Herman's Hideaway, or Herman's Hideaway, and we had no idea anybody was coming. KBCO had started playing us. The famous Ginger on KBCO was playing us, and she had sort of really been one of the first ones to put us on the air. And so we get there on a Tuesday night, and it's sold out. Couldn't believe it. I mean, the excitement of that for a band that had never toured, to show up and see this huge crowd. And I just remember running after the gig, you had to go through the crowd to get back to the dressing room. And I just heard this voice shout out, "I'm John Nallon, I'm a pub downtown, pints are on me." And we were just like, you can't put a better sentence together than "pints are on me" to a band that has just started. So it started huge. That's how we met all the crowd and all. That was started a great relationship between us and Nallon's. But where the fuck was I with this story? Oh yes, the vocal notes. So I was known for just going out afterwards and always having pints with everybody, and I'd be completely hoarse after the gig, but I wouldn't warm down or warm up or anything. And I got a long run out of it, but eventually caught up on me. And I started to realize that my voice was just never coming back after the gigs and getting worse and worse. So I ended up having to go in for surgery, and it's frightening surgery because your vocal cord is probably the thinnest little sort of, I don't know if it's a muscle or what it's called, or a tendon or what it is, but they had to slice. You have to do it manually because there was no computerized surgery or anything that where you could, because that's normally when they're doing that sort of microscopic surgery, you want the precision of a computer or something, a robotic type situation, but that wasn't the way it was done. So they warned me that, I should feel better after, but it could be a disaster. And it was a little bit of both. It definitely gave me back my voice to sing, but has never had the strength and has never had the longevity that I had before it. But it prolonged the career, and it gave me at least a chance to keep going. So it was a big success, but definitely frightening for the band.
Have you like taken any kind of like lessons or anything like that to not hurt yourself, to strengthen it? Or
yeah, I'm a very different singer now. There is massive warm up goes on, and I don't talk at all when we're on the road. There's no talking during the day. It's complete isolation for me, and I'm just sort of going through a routine, and then I don't do sound checks. People always talk about the diva doesn't do sound checks.
Yeah, you're like Tom Cruise on set. Nobody talks to me.
Exactly. And don't look at me. Don't look at me. But it was completely the opposite. For me, it's just, I have to save all of it because we're doing a gig every night. I mean, we're still out on the road. Well, at least we were pre-COVID, out on the road doing 5 or 6 shows in a row with just a day off. So I have to be very, very careful with it. So just the sound checks were just sort of wearing me out early because you're showing up and we all have in-ear monitors. So it's not helping me get my sound set up for the show. I've already got that's going to be the same every night anyway. So it's been a long road of working out how to do it, but eventually you sort of fall into what works for you. And I took a lot of vocal lessons after that, sort of just warm up techniques and stuff. But it's sort of like singing is very like, running. You don't see 60-year-old, marathon runners still running 5Ks or full-on marathon